Meeting of the Amherst Township Trustees called to order. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Abraham?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Urick?
Yes.
And I am also here. I have the May 27th regular
Let me
meeting.
know if I missed anything.
Minutes of the Amherst Township Trustees. The meeting was called to order at 7:03 p.m. by Lynch. The pledge to the flag, roll call, Abraham Lynch, Urick, and Kish were all present. Also in attendance, G. Lynch, R. Valentin, G. Fanning, and L. Esper. 5/12/25, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham, to approve the public hearing number 1 minutes of May 13th, 2025, regarding the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC opt-in gas aggregation program for the purpose of jointly establishing and implementing an opt-in gas aggregation program as a NOPEC member and declaring an emergency. Roll call, all ayes. 5/13/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick, to approve as presented the public hearing number 2 minutes of May 13th, 2025, regarding the plan of operation and governance for the NOPEC opt-in gas aggregation program for the purpose of jointly establishing and implementing an opt-in gas aggregation program as a NOPEC member and declaring an emergency. All ayes. 5/14/25, a motion by Urick, seconded by Abraham, to approve the regular minutes of May 13th, 2025 as corrected. All ayes. 5/15/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve the financial reports and payment of items on the payment listing as presented. All ayes. 5/16/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to approve that the April 2025 credit card account transaction detail has been reviewed per policy and is accepted as presented, subject to investigation. All ayes. The fiscal officer reported still waiting to hear from the state auditor on the 2022-23 audit, waiting for the state auditor to complete their work. Fiscal officer also noted receipt of the 2025-26 OTARMA anniversary contribution and shared that information with the trustees for discussion. We are currently covered for $7 million at a yearly cost of $35,948. To increase our coverage, the additional cost would be for $8 million, an additional $955, for $9 million, $1,850, and for $10 million, $2,744. Under correspondence, OTARMA/HCA property appraisals, still waiting for an appointment to be scheduled. One was scheduled and the appraiser never showed. County political subdivision fact sheet and survey completed during a Lynch and Duncan interview on 5/14/25. Public hearings regarding modification of settlement agreement, Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC et al. Versus Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals et al., Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas, case number 20 CV 200199. Reports on 6/10/25 at 7:30 p.m. I think that reports is not supposed to be there. Trustee Lynch reminded everyone that the regular meeting will be stopped at 7:30 p.m. for a public hearing on a proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map, approximately 31.41 acres, parcel 050004800015, located at 45850 Telegraph Road, and 050004800059, located at 45706 Telegraph Road, owned by Slyman Barbara and Trustee and 5S Incorporated and Bucks Benjamin T. Trustee, respectively. Under reports, the Ambulance Sandstone Joint Ambulance District quarterly meeting is Thursday, July 16th, 2025 at 11 a.m. at the Amherst Fire Station. Under zoning, Zoning Inspector Ryan Valentin had nothing to report. Under roads, cemetery, and parks, all regular maintenance, full grass cutting season, roadside mowing, cemeteries, and parks. No update on the delivery date for new plow dump truck. Under complaints are being handled by the designated individual. Trustee Lynch suspended the regular meeting for the public hearing on a proposed amendment to the Amherst Township zoning resolution map at 7:30 p.m. 5/17/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, moved to return to the regular meeting at 8:11 p.m. All ayes. 5/18/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham, map amendment consideration for applicant Gray Fox Capital and property owners Barbara J. Slyman, trustee, and 5S Incorporated to rezone approximately 31.41 acres consisting of permanent parcels 0500 4800015 located at 45850 Telegraph Road and 050004800059 located at 45706 Telegraph Road on the north side of Telegraph Road, State Route 113, approximately 580 feet east of the intersection of State Route 58 and State Route 113 from the present classification of a mixture of residential/agricultural and general business to the proposed classification of R-1 Con, low-density residential conservation development. Roll call, Lynch and Abraham, aye. Urick was a no. 51925, under new business. Motion by Lynch, second by Urick. Move to authorize Township Administrator to take all actions necessary to acquire and install automated extended defibrillators for use at Township recreational facilities and modify recreational facility lease agreements to identify AED access process and share cost of providing AEDs pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 755.13 and 3701.85, all ayes. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, June 10th at 7 p.m. at the Amherst Township Hall. There will also be a public hearing on the modification of the settlement agreement, Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC et al. Versus Amherst Township Board of Zoning Appeals et al., Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas Case Number 20 CV 200-199. I think that report should be out of there. On 6/10/25 at 7:30 p.m. 5/20/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick. Motion to enter executive session at 8:30 p.m. per Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G3, to confer with attorney concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject of pending or imminent court action, and RC Section 121.22G8 to consider confidential information related to the marketing plans, specific business strategy, and financial statements of an applicant for economic development assistance, or to negotiations with other political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance under the provisions of RC Chapter 715 JED statute and 5709.77 TIF statute regarding operation of a nursing home within a planned development district and modification of the Sandstone Planned Development District Court Settlement Agreement. All ayes. 5/21/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Abraham. Move to return from executive session at 9:12 p.m. All ayes. 5/22/25, a motion by Lynch, seconded by Urick to adjourn at 9:12 p.m. All ayes.
Okay, other than the two corrections that Chris pointed out, are there any other changes to the May 27, 2025 meeting minutes?
Just before correspondence on the amounts, there's some typos in there. Just 8 million should be a comma and another zero, and 9 million should be a comma instead of a period. 10 million should be a comma. Those are just typos right there. That's what I have. And then the and is an and the reports is deleted. That's all that I have.
You're talking the two deletions that Chris mentioned as she was reading through.
Yes. The word reports and is an and. That's all I have. Really, those correcting those numbers.
Okay. And can you make a motion then to approve the May 27, 2025 meeting minutes as corrected?
Yes, I can. I will.
I'll second.
Urick?
Yes.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
And then Chris, I want to make a motion just to approve the May 27, 2025 public hearing meeting minutes for that zoning map amendment. You don't have to read that, so I just want to make the motion to approve it as presented.
Second.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Urick?
Yes.
All righty, then we got financial reports. You've got the payment listing in front of you. Sorry for all the voids of a few checks there. The printer was giving me difficulties prior to the meeting starting.
Okay.
And the OPWC, that's just our
Second payment.
second part
Yep.
for the loans. Okay.
Yep. So we are, let's see, our revenue to date. Get ready, David. $934,822.61. And our expenses are $578,517.82.
And that OPWC payment, that's the payment on the loans, correct?
That's the second payment, yep.
Is that an echo?
What? Did she say that already?
I just asked
Did
that
Neil
question,
ask that
but
question?
interesting thing, I'm reading a book called Echo Park too. so-
What? Did you say something?
No.
Oh, all right.
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the financial reports and the payment of the items on the payment listing as specified in the documents provided by the fiscal officer.
Second,
Lynch?
Yes.
Euring?
yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
What's the number on that one, Chris?
6-3.
Okay, is there anything else, Chris?
No, I just had sent out an email with the worksheet for the 2026 budget for review, although I was just given some information this evening prior to the meeting that I will probably need to make some adjustments. Hopefully, we will have an opportunity to look at that and then be able to pass it at the June 24th meeting. Although we'll be way ahead of the schedule, that's okay.
Yeah.
And we're still waiting to hear from the state auditor. And as I mentioned before, they're working on the county's 22-23 audit right now.
I
So
think ours isn't at the top of their
No.
list, so, but that's probably good. I think if it were, that would mean there was a real problem. But, and I can't recall, when you sent out the email on the initial budget numbers, did you include Linda and Kevin on that?
Mm-mm.
But I mean, we'll get a chance to change that
Yeah,
later
and I mean, I
anyway.
had discussions with them about what they were looking for, or
Okay.
what they had wanted, or
Okay.
their wish list. Heavens was a new mower.
Just off the 3-point. Well,
Linda says computers, but that's this year.
Mine's a need.
Yeah, that's a need.
It's a need.
Okay. All right.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome everyone in attendance. I know there's several people here for a public hearing we're going to have on a modification to a settlement agreement, but is there anyone else here that has an issue to bring before the trustees? Yes, sir. We'll go with the one on the left first.
Go up to the mic.
Yeah, no, we don't need to use the microphone. It's just the way the recording is. Probably should have had one out there, then you wouldn't have to walk up so far.
My name is Mark Janusz. I live at 978 Norbert Road. There you go. Regarding the special event that was advocated by you guys over the racetrack on Saturday, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I drove down to your home
Yeah,
after meeting with the sheriff.
Right left.
Yeah,
Well, because I talked with
Why, was your car
Lieutenant
shaking
Brian
too much?
Barnes.
Yeah.
And Brian told me he was going to come down and talk with you.
yeah, because he came over about
Probably
20
shortly after I
after,
drove
20
through.
after 12.
Okay.
Yeah, because I filed a complaint. I called the sheriff's office since my house was shaken. And I know there's other people that might be here regarding that issue. And I just like to say, can we have something in the amendments or a document that something brings physical and mental harm to a resident, shut it down? What do you think of that?
Can you repeat that again?
If there's an event that brings physical or mental disturbance to the well-being of a person, can we have that event shut down?
Well, I guess
Have an
that-
ordinance against noise?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a legal question that I don't know on that. But let me just, Mr. Janasek, address the issue with that one event. That group did come before the trustees. I believe that was in January or February, because that event It was a local businessman, actually out of Grafton, who was going to be attending a much, much larger event where they expected 50,000 people in Indiana. And because of, it was our understanding, because of some illnesses, they had to cancel it. This sounds like it's something they do around the country. So they wanted to try it in Lorraine County, but they wanted to keep it small. Invite only. Now, he did say he couldn't control other people coming in because of social media, people put stuff out, others find out. It was told to us it was going to be an automotive show competition with their sound systems. We were concerned with the noise, but we're also aware that the Speedway has noise when they're running their events. So what we agreed to, they had nothing specific to present to us. We said it would be nice to hear it. They showed something on the phone. It was nothing close to what happened.
Correct.
So since the trustee said, we'll try it and see what happens, but we certainly, if we get complaints, we're not going to agree to having this thing repeated. We did suggest several other locations that we thought for a larger venue, if this is something Lorraine County wants. We said there'd be the option out at the fairgrounds, there'd be the option in the parking lot at Crusher Stadium, there's the option at Black River Landings that have similar type events, and they might want to consider that. We suggested they contact the county commissioners and the mayors of the larger cities that have those larger areas in addition to the fair board. And they understood that. They'd already been in contact with the fairgrounds and with Black River Landing because they already knew what the costs were. Because of the way that event turned out, we've already let the sheriff know. I've let any other resident who was actually, Mr. Schuster, who just purchased Tomy's Greenhouse, that this is a one and done. Denny wasn't here at the time, so I didn't call him. I did call David and suggest he go down, try and hear it at the time when it was running. It was also only supposed to be on Saturday and only for a limited number of hours, 6 hours from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock. That was it. Obviously, you heard they started up again on Sunday, and that did get shut down because all we agreed to was a competition for 6 hours on Saturday. So that's essentially where it is. It was a one-time deal. Your other question as far as mental health issues, I can't answer that. I mean, we have people complain about fireworks and, trying to control fireworks is
Well, that's
losing
understandable. That's okay. That's different. Like on the 4th of July or a holiday. We're talking about like this, out of ordinary.
Well, again, I guess we made a bad decision. It was presented to us one time. The trustees did put guardrails on it. We said if we heard complaints, it's done. Now, I'm telling you, it's done. What more do you want us to do now? What would you suggest we do going forward?
Shut it down immediately when you have enough complaints.
The difficulty was, that was their concern. If they got approval to run the operation, they didn't want to be shut down, so we agreed to 6 hours. So they had 6 hours there.
All right.
So we do have a noise ordinance. If somebody comes in and they haven't sought approval, we would shut it down right away. The organizers wanted us to issue a permit. We weren't going to go that far. One, we had no permit to encourage something or even to agree to something like that. And as soon as you do that, that makes it look real official. So we just said, we'll do it on a trial basis, see what it is. But that is well beyond anything we're going to allow in our community.
Well,
That's all I
nice to
can
hear.
tell you at this point.
Correct.
We're not going to allow it to repeat,
All right. Thank
okay?
you.
But thanks for calling. Trust me, we were down there with the sheriff. Okay. Yes, sir. Do you have something? You'll have to go to the mic so that they can hear it.
My name is Leslie Souders, 9160 Levitt Road, Elyria. I live beside Monar, I know two of them. But anyway, there were kids across the street, babies, that they had to take to their grandparents. And this, that, and the other, for 2 days. They couldn't sleep or this, that, and the other is what I was told. And I was talking to the other neighbors, and they said, there's no reason to go to the township garage, because they're not, or township hall, they're not going to do anything but turn a deaf ear. I'm glad to hear you say what you said, if there won't be no more of that. But I live almost, well, Denny knows where I'm at, across the street there. My big garage, the tools was just about falling off of it.
Yeah, it was loud.
It was loud. Now, I do
went up
believe
there
that,
and walked all through it. So.
yeah, I believe that somebody in the county, the sheriff or somebody, should have shut that down on the noise. That's my belief. That's all.
Yeah, as I said, the
Because
difficulty
we
was...
have an ordinance. You take a car going through town with a boom box, somebody will pull him over. A lot of times. Now it was loud.
It's interesting you bring up the babies, because what shocked me was the number of people that were coming through just to observe the competition, pushing children in strollers.
Yes.
It was interesting. But I did check. No one was serving any alcohol. Just so you understand, to shut it down when we were looking through where we're authorized to shut something down on noise in a general business section, believe it or not, it had to have whether it was a Class D permit. We even looked up, there was the Class D permit last transferred in 2017, but we couldn't find if it was currently active, nor did we have the sheriff searched all around. There was no posting to indicate that they had a Class D permit for the serving of alcohol, and no alcohol was being served.
That's fine. But, the residents in that area feels like it, you guys let them down and this, that, and the other, and that's why you don't see crowds here. Because, I've been there for 60 years, and people tell me, well, you might as well not go down there. Not only this event, but other events.
Not even go down to the township?
Yeah,
well, I'm telling you, we reacted quickly. So, matter of fact, I talked with the sheriff on the phone and then went down there. We also checked it at different distances. I live as the crow flies a mile and a half away.
Where you're at, yeah.
I could not hear it on Saturday. I went to the intersection of 113 and 58. Couldn't hear it much there, but I could hear it. It's when you got closer, you not only could hear it, you can feel it.
The reason for that is, don't mention it, but the reason for that is, it's the way the wind blows.
And that's what we thought, it might be the way the wind was going.
Well, Mark will tell you, at racetracks sometimes, he can't even hear it at his house probably.
Yeah, but Sunday...
And the trailer park over there, the wall's going like this.
Yeah, Sunday I did hear it, because then I was a little frustrated because the agreement was Saturday only, 6 hours.
6 hours, we could put up about anything down there, but, all day long from daylight till dark, and there was people turning my driveway there with out-of-state plates, Pennsylvania, and I seen one from South Carolina, I think.
We went through the
Semi-trucks
parking
coming in there
lot.
with these big boom boxes on them.
Yeah, we went through the parking lot. There were many of them from out of state, most out of the county. Again, because the way they did it, it's a competition where we learned more later, where they earn points, kind of like racing competition.
I don't know what
And so those people that were actually entrants were supposed to be the best of the best, not my kind of cup of tea, but they were invited in to be there. And that's how they tried to keep it. They wanted to keep it under 1,500 people showing up, but they were predominantly outside the county, many of them outside the state that traveled to this. And we also had to recognize, we're looking at the Speedway. We know that the revenue they receive from racing is not what it used to be. And so they're looking at alternative ways of bringing in revenue. It just shows this type of event, though, is not the type of event we want to reoccur again. So if they do it again in Lorain County, because I know the business owner, since his business is here, he wants it in Lorain County, but he's going to have to go somewhere else that's non-residential. And after hearing that, I would think that the fairground area, if they keep it limited, would be the better place for them to locate. I know they won't go to Black River because they already said the cost is too high. Plus they have to hire law enforcement to be present on top of it. So they did have law enforcement there.
Airport would be a good place for it. It's out away from everybody.
That's possible too, and that's why we suggested talk with the county commissioners and the mayors to see what they have available. But thanks for coming. Is there anyone else? David, did you have any comment? Because I know I talked with
pretty
you when
much
we had it.
what you said, to reiterate what you said, is something that kind of like blew up on our face. No, as far as I'm concerned, they're not coming back. They're not going to do that again. It's way too much. It's really underestimated what it would entail, what would be produced there as far as noise. And no. And I know, Neil, you said that maybe the county fairgrounds would be a good place for it. I don't think the county fairgrounds would be a good place for it. I think it's too close to the village of Wellington.
I'm going to leave that up to those venues.
But
what they
I know I cannot recommend that, and my apologies and my regrets on this because I don't say that often. It's really something that kind of like blew up in your face, I think.
It's amazing, there's people that really like that. Denny,
That's
you were
their
lucky
ears.
you were out of town.
That's your ears.
Yes.
They want to walk around with tinnitus the rest of their life. That's their,
Yeah, no ear protection on anyone that I
that's their
saw.
business, but I can't recommend that to anybody.
Okay. All right, we have a couple more minutes here then. If there's no one else. I just want to move on. Correspondence, Chris?
I have none.
Okay, David?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Okay, Denny?
No.
All right, well, if I can sneak it in real quick, you've got in your packet the proposed posting for the notice of a public hearing on a proposed zoning change. This be a zoning map amendment. It's actually, the applicant had listed 93 acres that they're interested in putting in a housing development. It'd be 138 living units, 48 single-family, 74 units would be 2-unit structures, and 16 would be 4-unit structures. There are actually, because of some adjoining parcels to avoid isolated zoning districts, we included those, so a total of just under 103 acres that would be rezoned to residential across this, with 93 acres of that being rezoned to R1 conservation. But that public hearing would be held on June 24th at 7:30 p.m. is the proposal, which will meet the time requirements for the Ohio Revised Code. So if you, I know I'd sent this out to you earlier, if you don't see any corrections, this is going to be the posting that'll go on the township's website and social media. Okay, so if you see anything that's wrong there, let us know ahead of time, because for Linda and Georgianne, they'll probably put this out tomorrow. Okay?
Okay.
All right, with that then, we're going to recess the regular meeting to go into a public hearing on a proposed zoning settlement agreement. And that'll be at 7:30, Chris?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Georgianne has the document up on the screen there, but this public hearing involves a proposed amendment of the settlement agreement between the Board of Trustees of Amherst Township and Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC, and Lorraine County Common Pleas Court case number 20CV200199. The settlement amendment pertains to the permitted uses in the Business Hub Subdistrict, the Sandstone Plan Development District. The Sandstone Plan Development District consists of approximately 264 acres situated in Amherst Township, bounded by the Ohio Turnpike to the north, State Route 58 to the west, Overland Road to the east, and the residential properties fronting State Route 113 to the south. The approximate 264-acre area originally consisted of 9 tax parcels owned by Consolidated Investors Group, LLC, and Consolidated Investors Group 2, LLC, listed in the following table, and I'm not going to go through those, but you can see the various parcel numbers up there and their respective acreage and the zoning that they had at that time before being rezoned. Approximately 139.5 acres of the western portion of the property near State Route 58 were zoned GB1 for general business, and 124.72 acres of the eastern portion of the property were zoned REG residential agricultural, which allow for agricultural use or residential homes on 1-acre parcels with 125-foot frontage. All parcels are in the Amherst Exempted Village School District. Amherst Consolidated Properties purchased the parcels from Consolidated Investors Group. and Amherst Consolidated Properties requests an area variance from Amherst Township zoning resolution 600-acre minimum requirement for a planned development district use, with the intention to request a rezoning of the 264 acres from its current zoning classification to PDD. Following a December 5, 2019 BZA public hearing, the BZA denied the variance request. Amherst Consolidated Properties appealed the BZA's decision with Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas, case number 20CV200199. The trustees felt compelled to cooperate with Amherst Consolidated Properties and Amherst Consolidated Investors Group to resolve the litigation in a fair and reasonable manner as would benefit all parties mutually and serve the public health, welfare, safety, and general good of all Amherst Township residents and property owners. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 505.07, the Amherst Township Board of Trustees published notice of their intent to meet on February 23, 2021 to consider and take action on a settlement agreement of the litigation in the Chronicle Telegram on February 8, 2021, 15 days before the public hearing. Proposed settlement agreement was posted on the Amherst Township website on February 7, 2021, and copies were placed in the office of the fiscal officer. Notices were also mailed to all adjoining property owners on February 8, 2021. Board of Trustees, per resolution number 2621, enacted on February 23, 2021, determined that it was in the best interest of the township to accept the settlement agreement by and between the Amherst Township Board of Trustees, Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC, Consolidated Investors Group, LLC, and Consolidated Investors Group 2, LLC for the Sandstone Plan Development District and a preliminary development plan, settling Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas case number, and I'm not going to read it off again, pursuant to Revised Code 505.07. Since approval of the settlement agreement, Amherst Consolidated Properties proceeded to develop the property with the necessary infrastructure, subdivided the original parcels, constructed multiple residential units, and marketed the Business Hub sub-district to interested parties. Foundation Health Solutions expressed interest in constructing and operating a 120-bed facility on 10 acres in the Business Hub sub-district of the Sandstone Plan Development District. Such facility to be named Sandstone Crossings Health and Rehabilitation. On or about March 10, 2025, the Amherst Township Zoning Inspector determined that the nursing home is not a permitted use in a planned development district and communicated such information to Foundations Health Solutions. Foundations Health Solutions and the Sandstone developer requested the zoning inspector to reconsider the decision. Upon reconsideration, the zoning inspector reviewed the fiscal impact analysis of the Sandstone development that was provided by Envision Group LLC. The fiscal impact analysis was included as part of the settlement agreement. Multiple proposed uses were indicated in the Business Hub area of the Sandstone Plan Development District, but a nursing home was not specifically listed. The zoning inspector determined that the zoning resolution Plan Development District article in settlement agreement still did not permit a nursing home. The Sandstone Plan Development District developer and Foundations Health Solution appeared before the Amherst Township Zoning Commission on April 1, 2025, requesting the Zoning Commission to permit a nursing home use as part of the development plan. The Zoning Commission determined that permitting a nursing home in the Sandstone Plan Development District would require an amendment of the zoning resolution, approval of a use variance by the Board of Zoning Appeals, or an amendment of the settlement agreement. The Sandstone Plan Development District developer, Amherst Consolidated Properties, applied for a use variance for a nursing home within the Plan Development District Business Hub subdistrict. The Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on April 30, 2025 and denied the nursing home use variance. Upon denial of the nursing home use variance and recognizing the timeline of a zoning amendment, along with no guarantee that a zoning amendment would be granted, the Sandstone Plan Development District developer, Amherst Consolidated Properties, and Foundations Health Solution request an amendment of the settlement agreement reached in Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas case number, which is up there for display. The Amherst Township Board of Trustees was open to an amendment of the settlement agreement that would permit a nursing home, recognizing the disproportionate use of first responder and emergency medical services by a nursing home. The Board of Trustees expressed the need for an agreement with the nursing home ownership that would defray the cost of providing first responder and emergency medical services. The trustees, Foundations Health Solutions, and Amherst Consolidated Properties negotiated in a fair and reasonable manner as would benefit the parties mutually. and serve the public health, welfare, safety, and general good of Amherst Township residents and property owners. As a result of these negotiations, the parties desire to modify the original settlement agreement so as to amend the chart of permitted and accessory uses in the Business Hub Subdistrict found in Schedule 1204 of the Amherst Township Zoning Resolution to include additional permitted uses and conditionally permitted uses in the GB1 district as provided by Schedule 1002 of the Township Zoning Resolution. Permanent parcel number 05-00-047-000-080, which will include an automotive vehicle service station and car wash, may include the permitted uses and conditionally permitted uses in the GB1 district as provided by Schedule 1002 of the Township Zoning Resolution, excluding kennels, nursing homes, outdoor display of goods for sale, garden supply, nursery, landscaping, lumber, etc., automobile and other vehicle sales, automobile repair garage, mobile home and recreational vehicle sales and service, adult uses, libraries, museums, outdoor commercial recreation, gas well, and public utility transmission substations. All other areas of the Business Hub Subdistrict may include the permitted uses and conditionally permitted uses in the GB1 district as provided by Schedule 1002 of the Township Zoning Resolution, excluding kennels, outdoor display of goods. And I'm not going to read through all these. They're listed up there, but this is a different exclusion, but very similar. Nursing homes will be permitted use if an agreement defraying the cost of providing first responder emergency medical services is reached between the Board of Trustees and the nursing home ownership. This public hearing shall provide an opportunity for any interested person to be heard. The developer, Amherst Consolidated Property, shall present their case for support of the amended settlement agreement. 30 minutes has been allotted for the public comment. The amount of time allotted for any individual to speak will depend upon the number of individuals that wish to comment. Following the public comment period, comments by the trustees will be taken. Subsequently, the trustees shall return to the regular meeting to consider and take action on the proposed amendment of the settlement agreement. So with that, I'm going to first open it up, and I don't know, Tom, if you're speaking on behalf, or you and Rob, or who's talking this evening to present your case. And then I want to ask, is there anybody here from the public to discuss the settlement agreement? If we even had one, they'd have a full 30 minutes. So, all right, well, Tom, if whoever's going up, if you can go to the mic and just for the record, state your name, where you live, or why you're here.
Good evening. Tom Oster, Amherst Consolidated Properties, LLC, 6232 Oak Point Estates, Lorraine, Ohio. Neil, your recap was perfect. I don't know how much more I can add, but yes, when we originally purchased the Sandstone property, as you stated, the whole westerly side of the property on 58 was zoned GB1, along with the property to the north and the property to the south. And our proposed applicant here is a nursing home. Nursing homes were always allowed under GB1, so they were allowed on the property before we bought it. They were allowed on the property to the north, the property to the south, and the property across the street is zoned MU1, and they're also allowed in MU1. So basically, it's allowed everywhere, you know, in this whole vicinity. We came in and rezoned the property from GB1 and RAG, which was a residential portion on the east side, to a PDD development. The reason we did that is obviously the turnpike came in years ago. All this commercial property was on 58 and not much was happening. And that's because businesses need rooftops. So if there's no clients or no customers, the businesses aren't coming. So we rezoned it to a PDD, which gave us some additional density on the residential side. And we reduced the commercial from 139 acres down to about 40 acres. So we cut about 100 acres of the commercial out and added that to the residential. We always assumed under the PDD zoning that the GB1 uses were allowed because under the PDD zoning, they do have a business hub or commercial application as well. It just specifies, not specifically, but yeah, it doesn't specifically say nursing home or, you know, those kind of things. So basically, we're, I guess, trying to get back what we had to start with. What we're requesting is an amendment to the settlement agreement to allow the GB1 uses in our Sandstone Business District, excluding the items that Neil read there, which were the kennels, outdoor display of goods, like garden supply, nursery, strip clubs, repair garages, stuff like that. Yeah, I think that's really about it, so.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Tom?
No, I don't.
Okay, was anyone speaking for Foundation Health, or is that it?
That's it.
Okay. All right, Georgianne, I know I told you an order, and now I can't recall which order I told you to bring things up in, but we'll adjust either one. Okay, where we referred to what's permitted in the various areas you're seeing right now, this is the current township zoning resolution. Can you make that larger? For the permitted uses in the GB1 district. What I did was I took our current schedule, which is 1002, that's shown up there, and if you look at the column in the center that says GB1, it lists all the permitted uses, and then as we took out certain uses here in this modified settlement agreement, I just put an X through them, so they are not permitted in this planned development district. And what happened there was, as you know, this came up and the trustees were working through this, and there's been a lot of people involved in this. I mean, between township personnel, the prosecutor's office, Foundation's Health, and Amherst Consolidated Properties, with a lot of back and forth in their legal advisors, is the trustees were more concerned with whatever permitted uses were there. That would be the ones that brought the largest economic value to the residents and property owners of Amherst Township. This would comply with our comprehensive plan, and also our current zoning, I think, needs some adjustments to it. When the trustees rezone that corridor down 58, recognizing the turnpike coming in and also the sanitary sewers, you know, and this was always referred to as the sewers of nowhere because they weren't hooked up. Oh, the hookup was probably approved in 2001, 2002, and sometime after that before the sewers actually were connected. So you can see I crossed out, obviously, dog kennels, not a real big economic driver. For nursing homes, there's a note, and that's note 2, and essentially it just says nursing homes are permitted on any parcel within the Sandstone Development Business Hub subdistrict, except for permanent parcel number 0500047000080, and that's the one that the in the Sandstone District, they've already dedicated that parcel to other use, and so that's the reason. It doesn't say, you know, we're basically saying a nursing home can't go there. We didn't tie it down at this time exactly where the nursing home was. I believe that Tom Oster and Foundation Health have already selected a parcel, but I just didn't have that information at the time. So it just gives you flexibility as to where that location is. And it is conditional on having that or providing some sort of method to defray the cost, because we recognize that this is going to put a much larger demand on our first responder and EMS services. And we've seen this with some of the other communities. It's really played out in Avon, where they even put a moratorium on nursing homes for some time. And I know as the trustees have been working through this, we realize we probably need to adjust our zoning so that we can handle this on any other properties that are in there, because there are quite a few properties that are quite a bit of acreage that's in a high visibility area that currently could have nursing homes. And that also wouldn't give someone a competitive advantage over this proposed nursing home. So that's something we do have to look at in the future. If we go to page 1003 there, Georgianne. And again, you just see continuing on where we've crossed out the items that would not be permitted here. There is then one other item. You can see the car wash there under C. I put a note 3, and all it said, it lists the permanent parcel number that includes an automotive vehicle service station that will have a car wash already included. It's my understanding this will be the tunnel-style car wash. We haven't seen the site plan for that particular parcel yet. As a matter of fact, there's a parcel, McDonald's was at the last zoning commission meeting with an informal presentation, and they were showing their traffic circulation route with the assumption they've also got some interconnection with what's going to be a Circle K immediately to the south of McDonald's location. But, you know, as we explained to them, we can't really comment on that because we haven't seen that detail yet. So hopefully the next time, because I think the McDonald's plans on going for the site plan review at next month's zoning commission meeting. At least that's what they've indicated. So it, you know, they may be coming in before Circle K does, is the way it's appearing right now. If you go to the business hub sub-district, and just as with the general business, I crossed out the items that, you know, it doesn't say this in the settlement agreement. It says everything in a business sub-district would be included, but this, I think, is just common sense. These items are not listed in the envisioned economic analysis that is part and parcel of the current settlement agreement. So the golf courses, clubhouse, residential, single-family, cluster townhomes, obviously those are things that you wouldn't put in there anyway, but I just want to make it clear, we don't expect those to be in the general business area. I didn't think you'd have an issue, because you'll probably find the same thing. You know, that's one where the zoning inspector, and Brian couldn't be here this evening. He told me he wouldn't be here. He's a baseball coach, and today must be a big baseball night. But just so it's clear, when he reviews plans that come through, he'll be looking at these modified charts just to make it easier versus reading through the settlement agreement. Because as we all know, you read through that legalese, it gets very confusing. But this chart will make it a lot easier for them. We then went through, can you bring up the spreadsheet with the financials? And this, I do want to thank Foundation Health worked with us on this. I know they asked a lot of questions to justify the cost and where we got the information. We also had, between LaGrange Fire and trustees and Avon Fire and leadership, they provided their actual experience in terms of first responder and EMS runs. We only used, since there were, actually Foundations Health had 3 other locations here in Lorain County. We decided just to focus in on them versus the other competitive similar nursing homes here in Lorain County. I did get the information for the Springer nursing homes only because the same fire department that services Amherst Township services Springer, but it wasn't a situation I wanted to show those. They're very similar. As you can see in actual, if you look in the center here for the 3-year averages, at Avon Place was 128, Keystone Point 183, Woods at French Creek is 112.7, but realize those are different size nursing homes, varying from as low as 70 beds on up to 121 beds. But you look at the 3-year average run per resident, and all of a sudden they become very similar. The Keystone Point and the Woods at French Creek, it was amazing. The odds of this would seem pretty low, but they came out to 1.61 runs per resident. That means a resident that's in a bed here. Realize the beds aren't always fully filled. They were generally running about 90% when you looked at all of Foundation Health's facilities within Ohio, predominantly up in this area. And and I did get that information from the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services to run comparisons. There was, Avon Place looks like an outlier because it was so high. I did speak with Mr. Peterson. I don't remember the exact explanation, but I know that he had indicated that the individuals that are there tend to have more critical need, and that's probably why their rate was higher than what we were seeing at many of the others. So the next job was to try and determine what is the cost going to be to the township. You'll see there's a smaller chart in the bottom. We know that for Life Care, which is our current ambulance service provider, and we have a 3-year contract with them with the potential of a 1-year renewable. And we have to do that because of being a district where we share that service and the cost with the city of Amherst and the village of South Amherst. So we will rebid that generally every 3 years, though there is the potential of a 1-year renewal. Is that cost us, our direct out-of-pocket cost is $67 per run. Now for the first responder, that can vary. We actually have one vehicle that we send out just for first responder service. So, we don't want to send all the trucks, that's a big cost, many different firefighters going out. We don't need that for this case. So we have a 4-man vehicle that goes out. We pay for 2025, we pay $32.56 per hour per man. We use an average of 3. Sometimes they go with 4. I would say probably they swing more towards 2 going out, but if they get a call because of the seriousness or sometimes a person, just because of the size or location, they need the extra personnel. They will send out all 4 in one vehicle, or they'll send a second vehicle. But we just kept it to the one vehicle. We pay $30 per vehicle, pay a minimum of 1 hour. In most cases for first responder service, that 1 hour is enough. Occasionally it goes up, but generally we're okay with 1 hour. So if you total those, you'll see it's just under $195 per run on average. So we then try to project, well, what's going to be the cost to the township? Because within our district, what we do is we look at the total runs and we allocate the cost to this respective individual community based on how much they use the service. So if we start using more of the service, it's going to cost Amherst Township considerably more. Well, at 1.61 times 195, that's $313 per bed. So just roughly $36,000 a year additional allocation would come to the township. We wanted to keep this simple as we were going back and forth in negotiation. There were all sorts of discussions as to how to account for this cost, but no matter what you did, it involved more administration. We said, as soon as we add all that, it's kind of up in the cost. So to keep it simpler for our fiscal office and everyone else, we said, listen, we know it's going to be about $36,000. Just make it a monthly offset, $3,000 a month. That'll cover the cost, so there's no additional cost burden coming to the township. There was back and forth the agreement that we'll see in a moment. Foundation Health explained, which was reasonable. They're going to have a business startup, and everybody expects that. So what they've asked for is on that one, for each run, and this is going to be a trust thing. We're going to trust they're going to give it because, again, we have that information. We can get it from the fire department. We can get it from Life Care. But sometimes getting public records isn't real fast and quick, especially when you're dealing with 2 different entities. So again, we want to keep it simple. We'll just leave it up to Foundation Health during that startup. You guys know when they're coming out. You can send the check to the fiscal officer at $195 per run, because obviously we shouldn't see too much during that startup phase. At the same time, we didn't want it, well, we had to put an end date to it. So we worked back and forth, what's your typical startup? They went through what the process is. It was more complex than I thought it was because now you're dealing with state agencies on this. So it appears that a 20-month window is a good time frame before they can get close to 90% of their, what they would consider their typical operation. So after, for you, Chris, it'd be 20 months, and it's 20 months after they receive their occupancy permit. So it's not from construction, so this is when they can actually really begin operations. So that we have a clear, definite identifier. Here's when it starts, here's when it goes through. I mean, I'm sure Foundation Health wants to reach that before 20 months. They obviously, the sooner they get up to operations, the sooner they're going to do it. So we recognize that. But that's pretty much what the agreement is. So with everything that's been back and forth, I think now the residents can be assured, the trustees can be assured, our fiscal officer, who now at our next meeting will be going through the 2026 budget, is happy. Keep it simple, offset the cost. At the same time, overall, this is going to be very good for the township. This brings a lot of good job opportunities for the local community here. It's definitely, from everything we've seen, is going to be a nice looking operation out there. And I do appreciate everybody that's been involved in this. I don't want to go mentioning names or even the more positions here because I'll leave somebody out. It's just been it's been a long slog through it, but I think what we've reached with all the different input from different individuals is that this agreement's going to serve everybody well. So I don't know if David or Denny, if you have anything else.
No, I do not.
My concern, you know, at the outset, they chose the PDD district to challenge the zoning on that. And that's how this whole case got started. It's a court settlement rezoning. It's not a traditional rezoning. And it's you know, a bunch of settlement as it is a rezoning. And I'm a little taken back. Well, we thought it was still GB1. I really wish that they would think it was still RAG too. And it's flip-flopping back and forth. I have no problem with settling that a settlement of a nursing home is is permitted contingent upon a first responder agreement. I have no problem with that. I think that's a good idea. But as far as changing, as far as saying, oh, we thought it was still GB1, and you know, I'm a little taken back on that. I'm a little hurt. I'm hurt on it. You know, really. How do I want to say it? It just, you know, keep changing things, and it's like, hey, you know, a decision was made, you stay with it. It's a settlement agreement, and you chose PDD, you stay with PDD. It's, so to speak, and but you know, to say, oh, I thought, you know, it was still GB1. I wish it was still RAG. You know, and you know, that bothers me the most. It's not all the changes and stuff, but it's the idea. Oh, I thought it was, because it's not. You know, it was a choice was made, and you had to stick with that choice. You know, that irks me. And also there, you know, there was talk earlier. Oh, it's going to be another Crocker Park, and we'll put a Crocker Park type there, and even on some of the conceptual drawings, there were buildings shown on the street, and they were like zero setback as far as I could see. They were just sitting on the street. And, okay, that's interesting, I thought to myself, but you know, there's not much street there. Well, depends, you know, on the interest is. You get interest, there'll be more. I also remember bringing up about buffering, and about the buffering around the outer perimeter of the proposed development, and it was a conceptual plan. I guess the scale on the conceptual plan was like 20 feet or 30 feet or whatever it was, and I expressed that it should be more, and no, it's what's on the map, and it was only a conceptual plan. It was only the original conceptual plan.
Buffering was increased, David, in the settlement agreement.
Was
Yeah, the buffering was increased.
Around the edge?
There's a 50-foot buffer
Okay.
going all around the development for all the residential areas on State Route 113 and Oberlin Road. In addition, from Oberlin Road, to keep the look the same, since those were all larger homes, is it's 700 feet off the center line of Oberlin Road, then another 50-foot buffer. So that is the case. That's why there are 3 lots on Oberlin Road that previously there was another entryway there, and I think it was maybe 25 homes going along there. That was eliminated. So if you drive down Oberlin Road, you'll see 2 of those lots have already had homes constructed and have young families living there. You will drive down Oberlin Road and you won't even see this development without looking through somebody else's yard and looking back 750 feet. That's how far back it goes. So that buffer was added because you recall during the time,
Trying to
as you
remember
said,
what
the
it was.
20 feet, and then I asked you and Denny, and you said you wanted at least 25. We settled on 50. And the lots going along, adjoining, all along 113 to stay large are all 70-foot large lots. I know Tom will probably remember, I was pushing for 90. And essentially it was, where do we get to? And then I thought we'd get 75, and we finally settled on 70. So those are larger lots going around the perimeter. So I just want to correct that. We did get that.
There was a
buffer.
question on buffering. I did get back to
Yeah.
that.
Did you have something on?
Tom?
Yeah, a couple other things I didn't mention, but you're correct. We made all the homes and home sites bigger, all the square footage is bigger around the perimeter of the property. We also did a JED with the city of Amherst. So by allowing the nursing home as an example, their payroll is $6 million, times 1.5%, times half that the township would get, is $45,000 of income taxes. They're building an 85,000 square foot facility. Anyone that knows the price of construction can do that math and figure out what kind of real estate value that is. We also, with a settlement agreement, agreed to work with the Metro Parks and donate a trailhead. We're also to create some paths along the main spline road, which is about 7,000 lineal feet. We also created, the township had some concerns with the parks, so we have a fee for every home that's built,
Right.
which will generate over $850,000 for the parks. So you're right, David, there was a lot of give and take during the settlement agreement. Yeah, we both gave, we both took. We just assumed that, the GB1, those business uses were still viable uses.
We've got private roads going in the north because the agreement was if they were single-family homes, the township would be responsible for the roads and the storm sewers. If they were going to be age-targeted rental, that they would all be private and responsibility of the homeowners association. We've got the left-hand turn lane going in, albeit we've got to give up some tax revenue to get that. So there was, I think somebody just told me earlier today that any negotiation, you did well if everybody walks away a little unhappy. And, you're expressing unhappiness. I can tell you, David, there were things I wish I would have had too, but I'm sure Tom Oster and his group wish they could have had an even higher density. If you recall, there were the multi-story apartment buildings that they're in their original plan. Hopefully, long-term with that trailhead, that becomes a trailhead to the multimodal transportation, probably most likely a pathway along the Lakeshore Railway, but that requires the Metro Parks and Lakeshore Railway to work things out. But this would be a nice location to put that in place. Because I know right now I use the bike paths, and always the difficulty is where do you go to get to it? They got these paths out the middle of nowhere. Our case, we have the potential of interconnecting business hubs between Amherst Township all the way down to the fairgrounds. So that may be a long-term desire, but we're putting the building blocks in place so that that area can always be reserved to do that in the future. And that would cut, by the way, for us, where the Amherst Trails manufactured home park is, it cuts right through there. So it'll get a lot of use. But did you have anything else there, David? I just wanted to correct that because you may have forgotten we did get that buffer.
I'm trying to remember what the exact things were, but I did bring up something, buffer or setback or something.
Yeah, well, we got
And
the
it was-
buffer in the
I
setback.
wish, but I do remember, and I being told, no, it's that on the map, and the map's only a conceptual map, and it's like, you can't hold the conceptual
Yeah.
map to that exactitude right now.
Yeah, the map that they did include with the settlement agreement, if you scale, it doesn't show that scale. But where we'll get it is when we go through the county planning subdivision review. I know that, maybe you're not involved directly, Tom, John Evanson had a meeting scheduled before Lorraine County Subdivision Review Subcommittee, but then he pulled that off the agenda. 'Cause I was there, and then, no one showed up, and they explained they pulled it off. And I think it was because the county was asking for some additional access points there for safety. So, yeah, I figure you probably don't know the detail, but John would know. Okay? But that's where we'll see it, David, because then they come to the zoning commission for site plan review. Okay? But everything, and you've got copies of those maps, you saw them. The buffering's there and the larger lots are there.
I remember.
Okay? Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was
Those
clear.
are my comments, Neil.
Okay.
Those are my comments.
Well, I'll tell you the one good thing we did learn about this, and we'll be talking with the prosecutor's office, the whole thing on nursing homes, because as Tom pointed out, we do have this JED that we're going through, but what we were looking at is two things. Once we saw the cost of the first responder and EMS was almost offsetting the revenue that we get from the income tax and the property tax, so it hasn't been said yet, and I'm hoping the county does not do this, but I'm not going to mention the individual's name yet, put him on the hot seat, but he's twice now mentioned to me about the potential of tiffing the business district, which would then take the property tax revenue away from the nursing home, and it's like, that's the last thing we can have is no revenue coming in and all additional expense, because we will have to take care of providing for Kevin, here it is, Kevin and 1.5 other people taking care of all the roads and the storm sewers and that are over there, and then the fire and EMS running out there. It's like, we'll be working with the county commissioners on that, hey, you guys can't take all the money. There's got to be something left here because, we're the ones responsible for taking care of it. But Denny, you said you had no comment?
No comment.
Okay, but we'll be looking at in the future how to handle the nursing homes that, as Tom pointed out, are permitted in all the other areas, because after seeing how other communities are struggling with this, we've got to be cautious that we don't have another nursing home locating. And there's nothing we can do now. They're permitted, they're going in, and we will have to deal with that cost. So we've got to look at what our authority is to handle that situation in the future. Okay, if there's no other comments, then we're going to move back to the regular meeting at 8:10 p.m.
Is that a motion?
No,
We need no
we
motion.
recessed and we're moving back.
We did
No
a motion
motion.
last time.
I don't think we had to do one.
Yeah, I just
We're
said
just
we're
moving back and
recessing,
forth.
Okay.
so now we're moving back to the
Moving back
regular
and
meeting.
forth within a meeting.
Tell me when you're ready, Chris.
Okay, boy, they got to change all this because it was like that in the last one.
Yeah, Chris is like the manual version of AI. She anticipates what the minutes are going to be, and she's already putting them in before they occurred. So now she's got to correct it.
Correct this number here. Okay.
You were AI before AI became popular, right?
How about that? Okay. But we didn't make a motion. Return to the regular race. Okay. Go on. I'm ready.
Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, you have within your packet, there's a prepared resolution. It's authorization to enter into the attached modified settlement agreement with Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC and Sandstone Crossings Health and Rehabilitation Emergency Services Agreement in Lorraine County Court of Common Pleas, case number 20 CV 200199, pursuant to revised code section 505.07. I'm not going to read through all the whereases. It kind of summarizes what we had discussed at the intro. But this resolution does say it, now therefore be it resolved by the trustees of the Township of Amherst, State of Ohio, Board of Trustees finds and determines that it's in the best interest of the township to sign the attached modified settlement agreement by and between, and Georgianne has the modified settlement agreement up there, by and between the Amherst Township Board of Trustees and the Amherst Consolidated Properties LLC for the Sandstone Plan Development District, settling Lorraine County Common Pleas Court case number 20 CV 200199 pursuant to revised code 505.07. Section 2, if you can go to the agreement with Sandstone Crossings, Georgianne. Yeah, the other one, that's the main modified agreement with Amherst Consolidated. Now here's the one with Sandstone Crossing, which helps offset the added cost of first responder and EMS. The Board of Trustees finds and determines that it's in the best interest of the township to sign the attached Sandstone Crossings Health and Rehabilitation Emergency Services Agreement by and between the Amherst Township Board of Trustees and Foundation Health Solutions Amherst Incorporated, known as Sandstone Crossings Health and Rehabilitation. Section 3, the Board of Trustees President/Chairman Neil Lynch is authorized to sign the attached modified settlement agreement and Sandstone Crossings Health and Rehabilitation Emergency Services Agreement. The rest is just boilerplate, but I'm going to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay.
Lynch?
Yes.
Abraham?
Yes.
Euring?
No.
Okay, and the number on
That
that,
is
Chris?
6425.
6425.
Yep.
6425.
I guess at this point, I have to ask, Rob, I wasn't sure on Foundation's Health who has the authority to sign the agreement on your end, because I did print out the current agreement here. Is that something you can sign, or we have to wait for someone else from Foundation Health to sign this agreement? It just says operator with a signature. Pardon? I wasn't sure who can sign it from Foundation Health. It just, if you're authorized to sign, if we get your signature now, it's going to avoid, again, the delay trying to catch up with you later. You know, and yeah. And Tom, I know you had signed one that I received electronically, a scanned copy, but, you know, so I printed those out with your signature on it, and as our resolution authorized me to sign it, I've got 2 copies of it so that we could sign it here. You know, we could have a copy and you could have a copy. Because you still have to go through the process now of publishing a notice and going to the courts to get this taken care of. Okay, and I don't know, I assume they're going to want a copy of this. All right, well, while he's finding out, I guess we can, I'm going to sign these now, and if for Rob, if it's got to be somebody else, you can take these with you and just bring them back to the township. Could we maybe take a short recess, Georgianne, instead of having a lot of camera dead time? Okay, we're back to our regular meeting at 9:40 p.m. or 8:40 p.m. We're going to move on down to the reports. Ambulance, again, July 16th, 11 o'clock a.m., Amherst Fire Station is our next meeting. Sheriff's not here. Zoning, our zoning inspector had indicated he wouldn't be here this evening, but there is a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting actually tomorrow, June 11th, 2025, in regard to Pogie's Catering for a side yard setback variance and a variance for the parking lot materials. Zoning Commission will most likely have a site plan review for a McDonald's restaurant in the Sandstone Plan Development District, though I don't know if they've actually provided an application for that, but that was the indication by McDonald's at the informal presentation they did before the Zoning Commission on June 3rd, 2025.
I have one question, Neil. Speaking of that sandstone and the commercial areas, is there a map, a lot map that's been produced for the commercial area yet?
To my knowledge, David, there is not. That's why I indicated. They show some parcel numbers there, and McDonald's indicated the parcel they'd be on, and the parcel number I read off to you in that settlement agreement for our public hearing earlier is the parcel for the Circle K. So they've obviously been splitting parcels, but I have not seen that map. And unfortunately, because of a cyber incident, is the auditor's map page is down. So Georgianne's got up what she can get based on putting in an existing parcel, but you can't see each individual parcel until the auditor's map gets corrected.
Seems like items are going in, businesses are going in, however, and they're on lots. However, there's no map. It's being
Well, when you say...
split off as things go, or are there established lots that are being sold off?
Well, how do you think it should go, David, if you're a businessman? How would you do it?
How would I do it?
Yeah, how would you do it? What's the formal process?
Well, I have property and then see what someone needs. If they need 2 acres, sell them 2 acres. If they need 5 acres, sell them 5 acres.
Okay, and then what? So now you sell them 2 acres and 5 acres. Let's say you had that situation. So here's 2 acres of Circle K and 5 acres McDonald's. What's your next step? You got a question, so I'm going to walk you through the process.
Well,
What's the
you
next
would
step?
split off the lots.
You split off the lots. Who do you go to
So
split
what
off
you're
the lots?
saying is there-
I mean,
Neil, the question was, is there a map?
and my
All
answer
right.
was, no, I have not seen a map.
You have not seen one, you don't know if they're...
But-
okay, that's the end of it.
But
Then
McDonald's...
what you're implying
You're not
is
letting
they're
me
going-
finish.
They're going as you go along.
All right, David, are you asking a question because
No,
there's
no,
real
I have
need
my
for
answer,
people
I
to
don't need
know?
any more.
Okay.
I don't need any more.
All
I got
right.
my answer, and you just keep going on. And
All
it's
right,
like,
next
okay,
we'll
I
move on
understand.
down the agenda. Come on, David, let's get back to order.
All right, we're back to order.
Fire prevention officer not here. Roads, parks, and cemetery superintendent Smarsh.
I have nothing out of the ordinary other than regular maintenance. I do have an OOPS location that will be cleared tomorrow afternoon at 1:20, and that is to dip out the ditch on Fowl Road at the intersection of Fowl and Bechtel, heading north to the culvert that goes under Fowl Road. And as we dip that out, there is a driveway culvert that we will be installing, and the property owner, the new property owner, has picked up, paid for a permit, culvert permit, so.
Where is
one
that
sec.
at?
That's on Fowl and Albrecht Road.
Okay, at the corner?
Yep. The county went through there on Fowl and also on Albrecht Road, and they've been dipping out the ditches. So we're just following suit. But also that culvert needed to be put in, so it needed to get done if the county was there or not. So.
Any other questions for Kevin? No. All right, thanks, Kevin. Looks like you've been out on some sunny days. All right, Township Administrator Linda Ashley.
We have the cemetery grant that we're looking at fencing for Middle Ridge Road Cemetery. That will open in July 1st, so we're just working on that. We do have a transient vendor issue I talked about it back in February, March timeframe where we revoked his permit because he was telling stories to individuals that NOPEC was no longer in the township and the trustees are telling everybody to go with IGS. It's the same. Do you remember maybe last month, that gentleman came up here, said somebody came door to door? He called me back the next day and said it was IGS, so I'm going to make the assumption that it's the same kid. I've gotten 6 complaints in total from residents saying that he was doing this. So I did talk to his manager today. I talked to another lady at IGS, and I filed a police report because this kid, he does not have a permit. It was revoked for him telling stories to the residents, and he's out there doing it again. They assured me he would be out of Amherst Township. Not the sheriff, the IGS manager said he will be disciplined and he will no longer be in Amherst Township ever again. And I told him, good, because if I see him again, another police report will be filed. So they're aware. So anybody who's had him contact them, they can call the police if he shows up at the door, the sheriff's department, and then they will escort him out. AED is going to be calling and contacting all the people that have been signed up through this gentleman for the last 2 to 3 months to discuss with them what they signed up for and to make sure that they weren't coerced.
Who's going to contact them?
IGS.
IGS?
The
Okay.
manager is going to contact these people. They're also going to send me a list of who they contacted and signed up.
It'd be better
So-
if you get a list, because this gentleman, I only know because he contacted someone that we know in addition to one of our neighbors, and they're also pushing to get a service agreement for insurance on their utility lines.
I did have one lady come in this morning. She was quite upset. She didn't even know about the home warranty for the utility lines until we talked to IGS. She called while she was in the office, and they told her that she had gas, electric, and this home warranty, and she wasn't even aware of it, and it's $9.99 a month. So, and he works on commission, so he's getting people to sign up left and right, and we don't do that. That's not professional. So that's just one thing I wanted to bring to your attention. I have a meeting with the Xerox gentleman on Friday at 9:30 about the copier. That will no longer be supported as of like December, whatever. No parts can we get if it breaks down, and they don't support it for maintenance. So they want us to do a new copier.
No,
Go ahead.
you were in touch with the soccer group, you said?
Zero.
No, Xerox.
Xerox. Oh,
Xerox.
Oh, for the copier, yes.
For the copier, yeah. And then we are going to be needing laptops, or I'm thinking laptops. We will need 2 brand-new computers before October because ours will not upgrade to the Windows 11. So in our thought process, what we're thinking is taking one of them, my computer that I have, moving it back to Kevin's because he needs a desktop, and then maybe Morgan and myself, because her computer won't update, to get laptops so that we can work better with them. We can take them in the back room when we're doing files. We can even bring them here to the meeting or whatever other meetings. So I am looking into that. And then, as you see, the AED for House Bill 47 and House Bill 315 were mandated to have an AED at the athletic fields. So you can see the cost up there. We talked about it last meeting with the cost sharing. And I just kind of came up with some figures just so that you guys, to kind of support what we came up with. The AEDs, I did purchase one. It was $1,882. I do have that in my office. The carrying case, those Morgan will be getting. They came to her home today. Those are, what are they, $189 a piece? Then there's I have a list here. I should probably look at that. It's easier. Then the deck box, which is what we're going to put it in, and we're going to secure the deck box to a building up here and probably the park garage, and then we'll have it locked. And then what they'll do is just unlock it. It's a combination lock that the coaches will have. They can get in it, just grab the carrying case with the AED in it. Carrying case is hard shelled. It's got a glow-in-the-dark reflective sticker. It's shock-proof, it's dust-proof, it's waterproof. You can carry extra pads in it, extra batteries in it, and a small first aid kit. So it's just a grab and go. So they're going to be instructed to take it out of the box, take it with them to the field, and when they're done, they have to put it back in the box and lock it up. The one for the football field for across the street will be here at the office. Let me see what else. We'll need like just small incidentals like the stencils for signing or for putting the AED on the front, brackets to mount it, extra pads, and pediatric pads. The small boxes that we got for the deck boxes, currently, I just got it today, we'll look at it tomorrow, was $37 a piece. So that comes up to a $4,922 cost. If we go with the bigger deck boxes, they can go up to $199, and that would be your second, I don't know if I have the second one on there. It goes up to $199 each, so that one would be a $5,276 cost. So by doing $150 a year, that would cover that. Our cost, you could see it would be like 120, what is it, 123.06, and then the other one was like 131. And these are just, some of them are just kind of guesses. Some are figures that I know, like the AED, the carrying case, because we've already got them, the batteries, that kind of stuff. But a lot of the other little incidentals, my guess, my cost is what I've pulled off a line. So we're in the
It'll help
process
too
of
if we have to replace it in the future, which we'll have to do
right,
that
because
eventually.
yeah, exactly. We'll have to replace batteries, pads. Once they get used, you have to replace the pads. They're a one-time use. I did talk to Barb today about the contract for the baseball, or for the softball, and she looked it all over, and she suggested that we change the one clause where it said termination, and it said that we can terminate it with 180 days notice. She said that was a little bit much, so she suggested that we just did 30 days. She said contracts don't usually give a 6-month out. So we did change that to 30 days. Other than that, she said the contract looked good. So I'll get that over to the softball. I'm making one for the baseball, one for the soccer, and one for the football. And they're going to pretty much be the exact same contracts, just for the different leagues.
Okay. And hopefully they're all agreeable. I know you weren't at the last meeting when the trustees discussed, trying to put some amount in. We know that's a burden for all of these groups, but at the same time, the legislature put this on us and we couldn't see us paying 100%. We also don't want to restrict where these organized leagues, they're a real benefit to the residents, and the users and, the youth programs that are out there, and they're all pretty much volunteers.
Yeah.
But they're the burden's on them to make sure they have that AED with them. Just so the trustees are aware, we had looked at, could we actually have them be required to provide it, but in talking with our risk manager and the prosecutor's office, they know that statute says the township shall.
The liability's on us.
We've got to provide it. But we've got to make sure it's accessible to them. And that's why locking it up now, we're hopefully, and if Kevin gets the item secured so someone can't walk off with the whole box, we're at least now have something there to help people if they come into that emergency situation. And the burden for training is on them, though. So they will be required to comply with the training specified in Lindsay's law. For the new law that required the AEDs, the way it was explained to us is that since the township also has to have trained personnel, that providing our fire and ambulance service agreement, that they have trained personnel for the use of life support, use of AEDs, so we're covered there. But obviously it would help if the coaches go through that training. There is required training through statute, and the Department of Health provides that training for the coaches. For Lindsay's law, they aren't required to get specific training on the AEDs, but I would really hope that they do. And there are multiple sources they can go to get that training, but that's an additional cost potentially also. Or if they can get somebody trained. Years ago, I was an official trainer myself, and so things have changed a little bit since then.
Yeah.
But it's still, it's a good thing to have. It's one of those things you hope you never need it.
And the teams are aware, because when I started doing this back in October, and I contacted the teams and told them about the grant, remember we were trying to get a grant for it, and saying that we don't want to have to pass the cost on to you, however, we may be. So they're kind of prepared, and we've been going back and forth with emails for the last 6 months. So if we tell them there's a charge now of $150, they're not going to be overly surprised.
Right.
And as Kyle Brooks said, unfortunately, if they don't want to pay it, then they can't use our fields. He said, I know it sounds harsh, but that's the reality because it's a law.
And Kyle Brooks is from the Ohio
From the
Township
Township
Association.
Association, right. So Barb said that she thought that we were being very generous, and that because we're doing a cost share with 50%, and then we're spreading it out over 5 years for the teams, she thought that was extremely generous, and she said she said they'd be foolish not to accept this, but she said just, ask them graciously and explain it to them, so I
Well, it's an
will.
easier pill for them to swallow too, getting it spread out like that versus paying it all up front.
Right. So hopefully the contracts, I've got them started, written to start July 15th, just depending on when I can get the other 3 written. It may not be till August, but I'll get them out there to the coaches.
Great, I appreciate it, Linda. I know this has been a lot of work.
It's been a lot of work.
Have any questions for Linda?
No, I don't. Just that you're doing a very good job.
Oh, well, thank you,
Linda.
Denny.
Okay. Well, with that, with the lateness of the hour, for the items that are assigned specific responsibility, is there anything to bring forward on any of the items?
I have nothing to bring forward at this time.
Okay, we've already covered the court settlement agreement and EMS, First Responder Agreement, Foundation Health. Is there any other business?
No?
Okay, the next regular meeting will be at 7 o'clock on Tuesday, June 24th. We will also have a zoning map amendment public hearing on that date. Kevin, any need you have for any special meeting? Okay. There's no audience, there any need for an executive session?
No, but I just want to tell you again, I won't be at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks, Danny. All right, if there's no other business, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Euring,
Yes.
Abraham,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.